Hello everyone, I am Anna Sarkisyan from Georgia. I'm very delighted and happy that I have opportunity to present the topic today at the conference of the CESCO, and today I will talk about the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh War and the strategic interests. The Nagorno-Karabakh Artsakh conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan over the mentioned region started back in 1988. Important fact about the region is that territory always has been inhabited by ethnic Armenians and represents the rich cultural part of Armenian and Christian culture. Before the last war started in September 27, Artsakh included as well 7 surrounding districts. Those were inhabited mostly by Azerbaijanis until the first Nagorno-Karabakh war. As ethnic cleansing and massacres against ethnic Armenians continued to spread, this triggered the war, which ended by the creation of the Republic of Artsakh. Exactly 30 years ago, the referendum on independence of Nagorno-Karabakh took place. The Azerbaijani population of Nagorno-Karabakh refused to participate in the referendum, instead supported the aggression unleashed by Azerbaijani authorities against Artsakh by taking an active part in it. On the day of the referendum, Stepanakert, which is the capital city, and other Armenian settlements were fired. 10 civilians were killed and 11 were wounded. The voters list composed 132,328 citizens eligible to vote, out of which 99.89% voted for the independence. The territory of Artsakh was about 11,500 square kilometers. For better understanding, imagine that Kosovo, Lebanon, and Cyprus are countries with a similar size. Regarding the ethnic proportion, which is being widely interpreted by Azerbaijani side, recordings show that on that territory ethnic Armenians were always a vast majority. According to 1979 census in Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Oblast, 123,000 Armenians and around 37,000 Azerbaijanis were living. The last 1988 USSR census could not be accurate, as ethnic strife and massacres and violent movements of peoples had already begun. Though in 1989 in the region were 145,000 Armenians and 40,000 Azerbaijanis. Before starting talking about the strategic interests in 2020 Karabakh War, I think it is necessary to understand the political leadership change in Armenia that occurred more than 2 years ago. The change is known as Armenia's Velvet Revolution in 2018. That was a model of democratic engagement. Under Pashinyan, Armenia has seen a significant improvement in democracy, freedom of the press, and tackling corruption. Armenia's economy has also grown significantly, becoming one of the fastest growing economies in the post-Soviet Union. This fact of government change is important since the former government had tighter relations with the strategic partner Russia, and Moscow was always critical of the Pashinyan government and was blaming his government in the flirtation with the West. During the 45 days of bloody war, Kremlin was spreading its word by using the most popular Russian TV programs where the main message were following, according to my observation. Why are Russian channels no longer broadcasting for free in Armenia? Why are pro-Russian politicians persecuted in Armenia, meaning the former president Robert Kocharyan? And why is the largest U.S. embassy in the Armenia? In the first phase of the conflict, the passive position of the official Russia was backed by the argument that the armed conflict is not in the territory of the Republic of Armenia. This was the main argument, since the Moscow-led collective security theory organization that Armenia and Russia are membering considers Russia's military support if Armenia is attacked, but it does not include the territory of Nagorno-Karabakh. Even though Armenia's military shot down 4 drones flying near the country's capital, one of the drones was shot down by anti-aircraft missiles at a town just 10 miles outside of the capital of Yerevan, but still it was not considered as attack against Armenia. Russia also led the first ceasefire between Armenia and Azerbaijan that ended up to be breached as the following 2 ceasefires initiated by the France and the US. In this war, clearly a major win for Moscow is its peacekeeper troops in Nagorno-Karabakh. Obviously, Russia has regained its dominance. The sudden announcement of Russia-backed peace deal on Nagorno-Karabakh was a real victory for Moscow for several reasons. The term of this new agreement gives Russia the most important of Moscow's goals: dominant military presence. The previous absence of any indirect military presence in Nagorno-Karabakh was one of the most distinctive aspects of Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, and this absence has long been an irritant for Moscow, reflecting the limits of Russia's ability to effectively project power and influence. But now that this goal has been achieved, Russian peacekeepers now play a key role in ensuring the sustainability of the new peace deal, thereby giving Moscow an even more decisive and prominent role in the region. The second one of the most important wins of Russia is that Russia is associated with its increasing influence on the Armenian government. Now the official Moscow has the perfect opportunity to exert maximum pressure on Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan and his government. Therefore, Armenia is now ever more firmly locked with the Russian orbit, with limited opportunities to even less room to maneuver. In this context, Moscow may continue to strive for ever deeper dependence of Armenia, as a result of which Armenia is in danger of further transferring most of its sovereignty to Russia. Turkey backed Azerbaijan over Nagorno-Karabakh and has criticized the co-chairs of the OSCE Minsk group for not resolving the long-running conflict in decades of mediation. The war has shown the growth of Turkish influence in the Caucasus, and Moscow is no longer the only major power in the region. Hiding military preparations for war under the cover of major military exercises with Turkey, the Azerbaijanis launched an offensive attack. The timing of the war, which was also a product of Turkish military planning, was drowned by the global COVID-19 pandemic, the US presidential election, and general lack of attention from global powers. Overall, war that lasted for about 45 days had very little international reaction and even less concern, which gave freedom to atrocities, including the presence of Syrian mercenaries. Turkey stands with and will continue to stand with friendly and brotherly Azerbaijan with all our means and all our hearts, Erdogan said. Besides the spirit of brotherhood, two countries have strong economy, military, cultural, and linguistic ties. Erdogan has invoked the saying that the countries are one nation, two states. Meanwhile, Turkey and Armenia have fraught history. Armenia calls the genocide, killing up to 1.5 Armenians in the late Ottoman period in 1915, which Turkey denies. Turkey's backing of Azerbaijan in this round of fighting has played a significant role in what is the most serious flare-up in the region since 1990s and reveals Ankara's wider ambitions in the region. While Turkey has always supported Azerbaijan's claims over disputed territory in the region, it did not play a significant rhetorical or military role in support of Baku in its previous conflict with Armenia. Military ties have deepened significantly between Turkey and Azerbaijan over the past 10 years as the oil and gas-rich state spent heavily on to gain military superiority. Turkey trains officers in the Azerbaijani armed forces, and it has become Azerbaijan's third largest supplier of weapons after Israel and Russia. Moscow arms both Armenia and Azerbaijan despite having defense pact with Yerevan. As already mentioned, Azerbaijan and Turkey held joint military exercises in July and August, and Turkey left 2 of its F-16 fighter jets in Azerbaijani city of Ganja. Meanwhile, Turkey's arms sales to Azerbaijan have increased sixfold this year. The sales include sophisticated Turkish-made Bayraktar TB2 armed drones, and in 2020 Karabakh war, the Turkish drones had been a game changer. To talk beyond the brotherly love, Azerbaijan is crucial for Turkey's energy security and is a major investor in the Turkish economy. Ankara's gas import from Azerbaijan rose by 23% in the first half of the 2020, and Sokar's Azerbaijan state oil company has become the biggest foreign investor in Turkey. One of the main aims in this conflict, besides gaining points in the country for further dictatorship, there is one major thing, which is further development of economy. After the November 10th ceasefire declaration, Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev announced that he had issued preliminary instructions to restore rail links between Azerbaijan and its exclave of Nakhichevan, giving tangible content to their transit corridor. Because such line will allow for direct rail connection through Nakhichevan to Turkey, this development will have the greatest geopolitical consequences. Turkish officials have responded in turn by declaring this fulfillment of their long-desired connection between the region's two Turkey countries. The railway is not only important for Azerbaijan but as well for Russia. The Soviet Moscow built the line between Baku and Nakhichevan through the Mervi region of the Armenia, parallel with the Iranian border. This rail network allowed the development of the trade, but it was especially important for the supply of the war material from the West to the Soviet Union during the Second World War. Experts predict that goods and passenger traffic will rise 20% or more with the restoration of these lines. Also, Turkey and Russia will share the joint center to monitor a ceasefire, which is again sign of interest from the both sides. Talking about the 2020 conflict, we cannot ignore Israel, since Baku's friendship with Israel has also been crucial to its battlefield success. According to Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, Israel supplied 60% of all Azerbaijan's arms imports between 2015 and 2019, including military drones, which overwhelmed Armenia's air defense system and turned tide in Baku's favor. Israeli-made cluster bombs have also appeared in Nagorno-Karabakh. In statements from October 5 and 23, Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch stated that on multiple occasions the Azerbaijani military had fired Israeli-produced M095DP ICM and LAR-160 cluster munitions at residential areas of the city, so Azerbaijan was using its sophisticated armaments like this for killing civilians in Nagorno-Karabakh, including attacks on maternity hospital, church, and so on. This friendship is also deeply practical for Israel, since Azerbaijan shares a long border with Iran that provides Tel Aviv with plenty of strategic opportunities. The least active bordering country of this conflict is Iran. Azerbaijan is one of the predominantly Shiite areas in the Muslim world that Iran has not been able to place under its influence. It is important to note that Azeris are the second largest ethnic group in Iran. During the conflict, there was a lot of pro-Azerbaijani rhetoric and protests on social media and on the streets in support of the Baku by ethnic Azeris. There is a constant low-level push for self-determination and increased autonomy in northern Iran for the Azeri minority, although this has not materialized into mass movement for independence. Azerbaijan has also strived to maintain positive relations with Iran because it relied on access to Iranian airspace and territory to supply its autonomous region of Nakhichevan, an exclave of Azerbaijan that is located between Iran, Armenia, and Turkey. In addition to transit right, Azerbaijan also relied on Iran to provide natural gas to Nakhichevan. But as part of recent peace deal, Armenia is opening up corridor through its territory to allow Azerbaijan to transport goods directly to Nakhichevan. In addition, earlier this year, Turkey announced a natural gas pipeline to supply Nakhichevan with energy, meaning that now Iran is less important for Azerbaijan, and it is likely that dynamics in the bilateral relations will change in Baku's and Israel's favor. Let us not forget tensions between Israel and Iran and recently assassinated nuclear scientist by machine gun. As a conclusion, we can say that even though Russian media coverage was Pro-Armenia, critical official Moscow of Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan managed to gain control and have its longest military presence in the region of Karabakh, as well as gain influence on the government of Armenia. At the same time, lack of the strong response from the United States or European countries has reaffirmed for many Armenians that, for better or worse, their only hope lies with Russia. These newly available land corridors promise not to only increase the number of participants competing for their use, but also multiply the possible routes. NATO member Turkey, with the use of Syrian mercenaries, destabilized another region and established its role in Karabakh after adopting and criticizing Minsk OSCE group. At the same time, so-called peace deal of 2020 Karabakh War cannot be accepted as agreement dedicated for establishment of peace in the region, since two brother countries continue to claim more land from the Republic of Armenia. Thank you for your attention and for this opportunity.